as
Okay.
you do it, I'll just refresh it and share it.
Okay. All right, we're live, I believe, sir.
Yep.
All right, we are live. Okay. All right, you want to start this or me?
Just let me know when you get the Facebook. Let me share that first, then we'll start off.
All right. Okay. Cool. 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 It should be up on. It should be up there any minute, man.
Yep, sure
Okay.
is.
All right, let's do it. So if you share it, we'll share it on our stuff. We're good to go.
Oh, it said
Yeah, we're
post failed. Did you make it? Can you make that
no.
post public?
Yeah, hold on. Hold on. I don't know why it's like that, but it is. It should be public. I don't know. Edit privacy. Public. All right, now do it. I changed it, so we should be good.
Yep, I'm just sharing it right now.
Okay.
Thanks for everyone tuning in. We appreciate
That's right.
it. We're about our thoughts. We're just trying to get everyone we can involved.
That's right.
All right, let's do it. Do you want to go first, Mike? You want me to go first? That doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll lead us off. First of all, thanks for watching. If you're watching in hindsight, here in a couple hours or the next coming days, we appreciate all that. Obviously, this will go right to the YouTube, so you can watch it anytime. So we appreciate everyone listening and following along. Okay, so obviously we had a new Saw movie come out. It's been a while since we've had a new movie. I don't think since we've made this show, we really had any kind of new content to sink our teeth into that wasn't already in the past. And that's kind of our bag. We kind of like to review older movies. That's what we do. But as movies come out now here in 2021, it felt like a proper time to kind of get involved with some more live stuff, some more instant reaction stuff like a lot of the YouTube horror community does. And so here we are. We're going to quickly react, I think, to Spiral from the Book of Saw. Chris Rock, Samuel Jackson, a lot of other players involved there. I'll go ahead first, I guess, because Nico, you are the Saw guy here. Not that I don't love the franchise, I do. I love Saw. I think it's one of the better franchises as far as quality of movie that's ever existed in horror. So, pretty good track record for me at least. I just want to start off by saying, general overview, I liked this movie a lot. It did a lot for me. It checked a lot of boxes that I like to see from a horror movie. It had a good story, I thought. It had really, really surprisingly good acting. And I think that, and by the way, if you're tuning in and you haven't seen the movie, I would suggest clicking off and coming back and watching this because we're going to talk a little spoilers. We may not go way in depth on stuff, but we are going to cover some stuff that you probably, yeah,
I won't spoil anything, but
right.
I'll give my thoughts on some
Right,
stuff.
right. So as I was, spoiler warning ahead here before I keep going. Again, I thought it had surprisingly good acting. I thought, and I know a lot of people didn't know if Chris Rock. Thank you, Diana. I didn't know if people how people were going to gauge Chris Rock's performance, but I thought he was really really good. I think it took a little bit getting used to him being in that role. But once we settled in and along for the ride, I thought he was really good. Samuel Jackson played Samuel Jackson, so there's no big surprise there. But I thought the rest of the surrounding cast played their parts really really well. And I do think this felt like a Saw movie. A lot of quick cuts. The gore was good. The traps were okay, but I don't think the movie tried to focus on the traps so much. Some of the traps are unwinnable to me, which is kind of negative because, like we've always said in every other Saw review we've done, you need winnable traps. That's kind of what the game is with Jigsaw. But this isn't technically Jigsaw, so I'm willing to allow some wiggle room there. But I thought the traps for what we got were very gruesome and gory, especially one that it kind of made me have my skin crawl in the theater, and that normally doesn't happen. So I don't know if we're talking about the same one. But I'm just going to tell you it involves fingers. I thought that trap was really really gross, man. So again, job well done there. Again, visuals were really really good. It felt dirty and grimy. We kind of got back to that old everything looks like it's in a basement vibe that I think that Saw 3D got away from, where it was really light and kind of way too lit, for lack of a better term. So again, really good performances all around. I thought the direction, as much as I like the writing of this movie, I thought the direction was a little weak. There were some moments I thought the camera was used poorly, and I know that's kind of a nerdy thing to say, but it's just kind of how I felt. But it wasn't a complete negative. I just thought we kind of had some stuff that could have been done a little differently. But again, all in all, like the movie, and I'm going to go on record and say I like the twist. I like where this movie goes. A lot of people are kind of about 50-50 on that, and I think it actually kind of wraps up in a nice little bow. So that's my general overview. We can get into it a little more after you go, Nico.
All right, just want to say at first, like you posted on your socials, Mike, it just felt good going back to the movies. I went last year, to go see
Absolutely.
The Call after we had Lin Shaye on, but it wasn't the same because there was hardly anybody there. There was actually a little bit of a crowd. Maybe not in my particular theater, but there was a decent amount of cars in the parking lot. So that was just nice to see that we could go back to the movies. And shout out to a friend of the show, Hunter Nelson. He joined me. I'll say that I like this movie. Like, it was okay to me, but this isn't a Jigsaw movie. It's a copycat. So if you're, I don't want to sound, wrong or mean or bad when I say this, but if you're just a casual Saw fan, I think you'll like this movie.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you're a diehard into the characters, into Jigsaw, I think you'll just be like, all right, that was like this movie to me. Just when I left, it didn't hit the same as like when I left for Saw 4, 5, or 6. You know what I'm saying? Right. Saw 3D 7 was kind of the beginning of when I was like, okay, no.
Saw 3D is bad. That's why.
Yeah. But I will say, like, I agree. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, he's always going to bring his A game. He was great. Chris Rock, I thought he was a great actor too.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Hunter Nelson a lot, though. It's kind of hard to take him seriously, though, in a lot of it, because a lot of his dialogue is kind of jokey, but, he's a comedian, so he's going to be kind of comedic.
Right.
Which he should be. Just a few nitpicks I had, though. I felt like they forced a lot of the, how they had to zoom up to the face and they do the quick cuts of like the person, like, that I thought like that was a little bit overused and unnecessary sometimes. And I thought it was kind of weird that Chris Rock, every time like he would walk from his car to inside or back to his car, he always had a rap song playing. It's like, can a man just walk out there being a theme music?
Let's say he had his own theme song, like that episode of Family Guy where Peter has one following him around all the time. That's kind of what there it went. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the twist was just meh. I mean, it wasn't great. Right. I don't know. I kind of just got I got other Saw vibes. Like, I feel like they just kind of recycled some stuff from the previous ones to make this one. I'm not going to spoil the traps. I thought the opening scene was awesome, though. That was a unique trap.
Yeah, it was.
I kind of felt like, I won't spoil it, but the one before Samuel L. Jackson, that one was kind of mean. Like,
it was.
You had to sacrifice a lot to win that one, like, for the rest of your life.
Right.
But I will say that I didn't regret going to see this. Like, I like this movie better than Jigsaw. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It might be ahead of 3D. I'd probably put it ahead of 3D, but I do like the thing I did like about 3D, though, was just it tying Dr. Gordon back. But the Spiral looks way better. The acting is way better. I think, like you said, Mike, the acting top to bottom from Spiral I thought was pretty good.
Very well done. Very well done.
It's kind of hard to just not go into like super duper spoilers, but
right.
What's your other thoughts, man?
Yeah. So again, you mentioned, first of all, it just felt great to be back in a movie theater watching a horror movie in particular. Something I did really like, though, I actually liked the music in this movie. It was different from some of the other Saws we've gotten, that had a little bit more of a metal sound. And again, I like both genres, but we got a lot of rap here, and I felt it made it current. I felt it helped a little bit. Now, again, I don't need a song every time that Chris Rock walks, but I liked a lot of the music. And so let me touch on the traps real quick without getting into too big of a spoiler. They're not great traps. And I don't mean the trap itself. I mean the lesson being taught isn't always very well known. I understand the fingers one, which is why it's so gruesome to me. Like, I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens there, but it is tough to watch as it takes place. The opening scene to me felt unwinnable. So that's how you have a copycat, because it's not a very well thought out trap, I thought anyway. I thought the amount of time he has and everything. By the way, that scene's on YouTube for free to watch, so I don't feel like we're spoiling anything too hard there. If you've seen it, great. If you haven't, I apologize. But again, that feels like a very unwinnable trap. I felt the female officer, whose name is slipping me, because again, I'm doing this off my head. I don't have a ton of notes here. Her trap also unwinnable to me, but I thought it was a cool trap that I had never seen before, and so that was unique. And like you said, the last one at the very end there, it's not necessarily unwinnable. It's just very, what am I supposed to do in that setting? So again, we don't have the best copycat Jigsaw, but I do like the overarching narrative of the movie. And I know there's some people, and we don't have to get into it too deep. There's obviously some very current political undertones there, but I don't think it's so in your face like the most recent Black Christmas, where you can't go and enjoy this movie without even knowing that. I think it's still a very well-written story where you could just say, hey, this is the story. It doesn't have to be so topical politically. But it's not, again, it doesn't slap you in the face with it like Black Christmas did, which is just ridiculous. But this one kind of has its own unique story, and I think it's, it kind of does a good job walking the line of what's right and what's wrong and stuff like that, without getting too far into it. But one thing I know we kind of touched on Chris Rock, but the last probably 25 minutes of this movie, he's great. Not good.
Oh yeah,
great. Like
yeah,
he
really
really hones in on the character and brings it around. I think it was really well done. And one thing I do want to say is I like the father-son aspect of this movie between Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock. I think it plays really well. For being 95 minutes long, they get a lot into the story. Now, again, there's some plot holes, I think, and again, when you go see the movie, I think you'll notice it more. But there's definitely some plot holes that could be filled in with a sequel, which, again, that's kind of what Saw does. It leaves plot holes for the sequel to kind of follow up on and kind of, plug it all in. And I have a feeling if everything I read is correct, we're going to get a sequel.
I'm just testing something.
Okay.
Is your phone ringing?
Yep.
Okay.
Why?
That might be a plot hole.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay.
I honestly wasn't sure about that, but I hope I didn't disrupt the Facebook feed. But
no, you're good. No, you're good. It's all done through Restream anyway. So
okay.
Yeah. So
that might be a plot hole though. If you know what I'm talking about though with the phone.
Yeah. But again, there's only so much you can do with modern technology that the old Saws could get away with a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll say that I really felt, well, spoiler alert, I guess, but Samuel L. Jackson, he wasn't going to survive his trap.
He did, and the story, he really didn't deserve to.
Yeah,
not to give anything away. So
I disagree with you. I think the first one was winnable. Just jump. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube, so just jump off that stool and rip your tongue out. But will you actually survive it? I don't know.
Right.
That might be what you're talking about. Are you really going to survive after bleeding that much in a dirty subway? Yeah, I don't know. I watched, going into this, I had to watch some spoiler-free YouTubers, their reviews. And, I saw so many conflicting ones. Some people, I watched a lot of rankings, including Spiral. And one guy I watched had this movie second overall, right behind the original. And then I watched guys, like Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman. And I'm kind of with them. I kind of agree with them too more. This movie, and I'm not, this isn't my own thoughts. I'm just agreeing with what they're saying. This movie has some Seven vibes to it.
It does. Oh, absolutely.
With the approach and the approach, the production, the direction that it's going, and I kind of feel like it just didn't know what it wanted to be a little bit in some spots. It wanted to be a Saw movie and a Seven movie at the same time, which there's nothing wrong with it, but I think they just missed it a little bit. But like I said, it's enjoyable. You'll like it, but it's
right.
not my favorite Saw movie by any means. And it's a copycat movie. It's just, I'll say it like this. Jigsaw was 7 years after 3D. I was very disappointed with it.
Right.
Like, because you had 7 years to make a movie and this is what you've done.
Right.
This movie was made 3 years technically because it was supposed to come out last year. I don't know if they did any reshoots or editing, but 3 years after Jigsaw, and it's self-admitted from the book of Saw. So, I didn't leave like I was pissed off like after Jigsaw. Like I
Right.
wasn't brokenhearted or disappointed. Like this one was okay. It was pretty decent.
Right. Right. And that's something that I think a lot of people maybe forget. You mentioned the Book of Saw. It's not technically a Saw movie, it's from the Book of Saw. So, yeah, we have a Saw movie, but it's not a Jigsaw movie. There's no John Kramer, no Tobin Bell in this movie, outside of a picture or two that you
Yep.
get and a couple references, which I thought really helped the story along. Actually, I thought that was good that they did that. They didn't just ignore it altogether. They kind of used it as a case study to kind of figure out this case. Let's go ahead and talk about something that a lot of people have. What do you think? And I'll go. I mean, I guess I can go first. What do you think about the new voice? And before you go, you have to remember, if you make it the same as Jigsaw, which I always thought was a problem in the Saw sequels. Once John Kramer dies, I thought keeping the same voice was a little hokey to me. I feel like they should have maybe done a little bit different. But again, with this one, I'm hit or miss. I can take it or leave it. I don't hate the new voice of the quote unquote Jigsaw killer, but I don't love it either. I like the fact that we used a pig puppet instead of the Billy puppet, but because again, it's not Jigsaw, it's a copycat. It's someone playing on the Jigsaw murders. So I do feel like something new was needed, and I'm okay with the pig puppet. I think it looks really freaking scary, And
Oh
I
yeah.
think I think the voice is okay. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just okay.
Oh yeah. I love the pig puppet, and
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm just glad that they used something different.
Yeah.
Like, and they didn't use the Billy puppet, which I liked. The voice, it's Tobin's iconic. You're not going to
Right.
replace that voice, but I mean, it was a little weird, but it's not a Jigsaw movie, so you have to keep that in mind. You can't keep everything the same. It's a
Right.
copycat.
Right.
So I'm with you. I'm glad that it's different. I didn't hate it, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad to me.
Right. Right. And I agree. And again, a lot of people have said this is an episode of Criminal Minds with Jigsaw background, which kind of I understand. I don't think that's a criticism. I think you had to do something different. You can't go to the well too many times. But something you pointed out, it did recycle a lot of stuff. But part of me kind of feels like that was very Halloween 2018 of them, where you kind of have to
Yeah.
take some of the greatest hits to move the story along. Like I think in Halloween Kills, we're not going to get that. We're going to get a whole new deal. And I
I
think
hope not.
and I think in the next Saw movie, you're going to get some original stuff, but you can't not play the hits in a Saw movie. You've got to have gore. You've got to have good traps. You've got to have, a narrative that ties back to every other Saw movie we've seen. And so I think they kind of set themselves up nicely for a sequel by doing that. But you do kind of catch yourself at some point thinking, we've seen this before. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. I'm kind of conflicted on whether I like that or don't like that, kind of like I am with Halloween 2018, where, yeah, we've seen it before, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
And I think one thing that was so refreshing about Saw 6 to me was just it kind of got away from, the corrupt police department or whatever.
Right.
And that's what kind of like it's what one of my, I won't say I don't know, problems with this one is like it's just more corrupt
Right.
police work. And
Right.
maybe that's just a social issue that they were
Yeah.
touching on somewhat,
Yeah,
which
I
is
think so.
fair,
Yeah.
but heck, this franchise has a lot of corrupt police work that they take care of, so you kind of just get a little fatigued from it.
Right. Right. And
I won't
right.
spoil. Go ahead, Mike. I will touch on the. I won't spoil it, but I'll touch on the twist a little bit.
Okay. Real quick, I think that's what it was. They were just trying to be topical, stay socially relevant with the corrupt police force. And by the way, I said it earlier. I'm going to repeat myself. I think they do a good job walking the line of not making it so broad where it's like, where it might turn some people away from this movie if they happen to disagree with all of that or whatever their stance is. I think that they cover it pretty well because again, it is a running theme in the Saw movies where everybody on the police kind of sucks minus one detective. And so that's kind of how this movie plays out as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and touch on the ending real quick without giving too much away.
Well, one more thing. Now that I just started thinking about it, the basement kill or trap. I just thought about this now after seriously thinking on it. How do you set that up?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I
In
think
the
that's right.
in the evidence room or cold case room, you set that trap up where there's security everywhere.
Yeah, but okay, without giving the ending away, it kind of works.
I don't know, man. Just there a candle shop near. All right, never mind.
Hey, maybe maybe the police department's next to the House of Wax. Who knows?
Hey, maybe it is in Ambrose. I don't know. You might be right about that.
Uh,
The ending. I mean, it had a decent little twist, I guess, but it's just so hard to believe this one. It's like I all right, mark this. People watching, I'm about to spoil it a little bit. This kid really, instead of, I don't know, man. I'm not a little kid seeing this, so it's just kind of hard for me to believe that he did everything that he did to make it to where he was, and not just be a scarred victim for the rest of his life. I guess.
right. I mean,
That's a traumatic thing to see as a little kid.
I'll say this. I'll say that I think I don't know what the other twist could have been. When you watch this movie back, I think it'll be really obvious. Unlike
Yeah.
some of the other Saw movies where you don't, like Amanda Young was not something I saw coming in Saw 2. You don't see Tobin Bell coming in Saw 1. You honestly
Oh
don't see
no.
you really don't see anything as far as obvious from Saw 1 to 4. After that, we get a little obvious, I think. But again, not a bad thing, just kind of the way it is. But I think in this movie you didn't really have much of a choice. You kind of wrote yourself into a corner, but I think that was on purpose. I don't hate it. I'm kind of like you, where some of it's not believable. But again, we are talking about a Saw movie. So, I mean, I'm willing to forgive some of it. I think it's going to set up a really cool sequel from what I hear. There's more to the story we're going to find out. But there's a way to you know how every Saw movie goes. The guy at the ones without John Kramer, somehow, some way, the guy doing Jigsaw's bidding isn't who we thought he was or she was when it comes to Jill. So there could be some stuff that maybe we end up not liking this guy after all.
Yeah, the only part that confuses me is Chris Rock knows who it is now. So what's the sequel going to do? Just be him chasing him? I mean, I feel like if they have a sequel, it's just going to be more of a, not necessarily a Saw movie, but more like a capture the bad guy movie, like an action movie, because he knows who it is now.
Let's get into this real quick, and then we can get out of here unless you have some final thoughts.
No, I don't want to spoil nothing too bad,
Okay.
so we'll just save it for whenever we review it.
Okay.
And I need another rewatch anyways.
Right, me too. Rumor of sequel. I mean, we can just kind of touch on it because I think that this is going to get one from everything I hear. As long as it does well enough in the box office, which I can't imagine it not doing pretty well, especially when they put it out on video on demand. I think it'll do really, really well then. From what I gather, there's some rumors out there. What would you kind of mentioned Chris Rock going on the chase. What would you do if they killed off Chris Rock 10 minutes into the movie and went a different direction?
I have no idea.
That's kind of the rumor because we've seen that in Saw before though, where the guy or the person that makes it to the end of the previous movie is killed in the next movie, and so I could see that being something that happens.
Yeah, so
because he's now going to be in a trap because before he really wasn't in a trap.
Yeah, so I mean, you could write it to where Rock maybe became the guy's partner for real, and they finished cleaning up their work, but
right.
I don't see that happening after what happened to Poppy. I really don't know what could go next because it kind of reminds you of like Saw 4 where it reveals Hoffman's involved,
right.
but Rigg dies at the end, so the only person who knew is dead.
Right.
But then Strom apparently finds out in the fifth one, so I don't know what the direction would be. But I mean, I'll go see it again. But
of course, I mean, I'm always going to go see these movies because they're horror movies. It's a franchise that I think consistently puts out good to really, really good movies. And so until now, Saw 3D almost lost me. I like Jigsaw more than you do, but I understand why you don't. But again, as far as consistency, this franchise tops the big three that are in our logo. There's some really bad Halloween movies. There's some really bad Friday the 13th movies. There's some really bad Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And
Really bad.
so this really doesn't have what I would consider a really bad film.
Saw doesn't have any stinkers in it. It doesn't
No.
have Freddy's Dead.
No. Saw 3D is close. It's close, but it's not so bad I can't rewatch it, especially if I'm in the middle of a marathon.
I mean, 3D is not good by the other standards, but it's not like it's not Freddy Krueger riding on a broom or playing video game. That's just terrible.
Cool graphics. Yeah, no, it's not Freddy playing.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's not Freddy playing Nintendo, which I think is god awful. So just we're at 25 minutes now, so we can kind of wrap this up and get out of here and go on about our Sunday. But I just want to thank everyone that did follow along and everyone that watches in hindsight, which I'm sure on YouTube will have some numbers, and we'll kind of push out the video after the fact because not everyone can stop along and watch live, and I understand that. And this was kind of quick. We didn't take a lot of time to advertise this, but so we'll kind of push the video out, and at some point it'll probably be available on all platforms to go back and listen to, because this will be all we kind of have until we review this movie down the road once the entire crew has seen it. So thanks everyone for watching, following along, stopping in. I do want to say I would recommend going to see this movie.
I agree.
I think if you have the chance and you have the money, I know money is tight for a lot of people right now. If you have the chance, go see the movie. It's Sunday. If you got nothing else going on, stop in at a matinee showing and see it. I think this movie is worth a watch, and then I definitely think it's going to be worth a rewatch when I get the chance, whether that be of legal or means or otherwise is really for no one to know. But I will be rewatching this movie at some point, and I highly recommend it, and I had a lot of fun kind of talking about it because there's stuff we couldn't get into that I really would like to get into as far as plot. But we'll save it for when we actually review the movie.
Oh yeah, and like Mike said, I agree. Go see the movie. I mean, I went to a 3:00 show and it was like $11, so that's not too bad.
Yeah,
and it had the nice seats too. So I mean, it wasn't like a dumpy theater. So if you like the Saw franchise, I recommend go see it. Absolutely. But just keep in mind, it's not a Jigsaw movie. It's a copycat.
Right. And I think that kind of helps the movie in some ways and hurts it in others. So any other final thoughts before we get out of here, Nico?
Yeah, one more thing. Like you mentioned, I think you tweeted about it. Seeing a horror movie like this with two A-list celebrities like Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson was very cool to see. It was awesome to see too. And it's just awesome that Chris Rock is a fan of the franchise. Like I love that.
Right.
It was great to see those two caliber of actors and celebrities want to be in this type of movie. So I did appreciate that a lot.
Right. And I think
it's not a bad thing, celebrities, to be in a horror movie.
Hey, I think we're starting to see that shift a little bit. You see a lot of pretty A-list people, going into horror movies, especially on streaming services. Another fan of horror is Ryan Reynolds, who has been in a ton of horror and thriller movies. And he's, part of, superhero horror now when it comes to Marvel movies. So he's a big name actor that just enjoys the genre. Chris Rock does as well. Samuel Jackson, being a part of this. It's really cool to see a lot more people kind of flock to that. I mean, we have Jamie Lee Curtis return to her roots. That helps that helps the genre as a whole, where we're not just putting out B-type slasher movies all the time. We're getting some really good acting in these movies, and I think in this one that definitely carries true. I think there's some really solid acting, not just from Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson, but from all involved.
Yeah, everyone did a great job. Yeah. And another horror movie that's coming this month with a big name, John Krasinski and his wife, Quiet Place 2 is coming out.
Yep.
So it's really good to see these very recognizable A-list celebrities, tapping into our favorite genres. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And, we have the Conjuring 3 coming out, which because of the Conjuring series, these two are well-known names with Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson. Like, they love the horror genre. They're in it a lot, but they're also in a lot of other things that people know. So, again, a lot of big-name actors kind of turning their eye to horror, which I really do appreciate. Any other final thoughts on Spiral, the Book of Saw, before we get out of here, brother?
No, I hope we didn't spoil too much. I don't think we did. Like Mike said, recommend go see it. Because right now you're going to get a good theater experience. There was no talking at all.
Absolutely. Make sure to go to don'tgoouthere.com for this and everything else that you need, involving our show. I thank our blood donors as always. We have a blood donor review, our first one coming up this week. Very excited about that. We won't spoil it here. and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're on all those big 3 platforms. And make sure you come back and watch this video as much as you can. Share it. Tell your friends. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks.
Absolutely.